What up? How's everyone doing? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter Live. Got a fun one tonight. We're talking about the Amazon original Totally Killer from 2023. This was a recommendation from me from my homeboy Lynk over there. So what up, Lynk? Welcome to Bloods. Welcome back. Like you're not here every week, but welcome back, brother.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Yeah, I'm glad you checked the movie out, man. I thought it was gonna be one of those ones that was easily it was easy to pick apart, but I'm glad that people found the fun and enjoyment, entertainment, overall value of it, So yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
I'm happy to talk about it.
That's like all these types of movies are kind of easy to pick apart, but I don't do that at all for this type of film. But what up, Stu? So I was listening into your guys' show last night, and I was almost gonna click it off when you were talking about this show because I'm like, oh, I don't want to know what Stu thought. I'm like, all right, maybe he's gonna say what he thought. Let me hear it. And I heard you said that you loved it and you watched it with the whole family. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna click it off. I don't want to hear anymore. But what's up, brother? Thank you for being here.
What's up, bro? Thanks for having me. Station to everybody out there in TV land tonight. Yeah, dude, I did love it. I thought this one was a ton of fun. I was sold on the Scream meets Back to the Future type advertisement from Link, and yeah, I think this one was a ton of fun. I had a ball. So I told Link last night. I thanked him for the rec. I think I'm sorry Phable can't be here to join us on this one, but this one was a great one. I can't wait to chop it up about it.
Hell yeah, man. Phable is he's in the chat. I'm curious. I know he had some stuff going on today. Phable, if you had a chance to check it out, let me know what you thought. I'm assuming you didn't get a chance to. But I will say I hope you do, because I think he would like this. I have a tendency to do this, man. I picked these movies, or Link recommended this one. I picked it to do it. And then I like overwatch them. I almost like obsess over them and I fall in love with them. And this one, like when I watched it, Link, you recommended it. Me and Anna watched it, my wife, and we loved it. I loved it. I was like, that was great. And I wanted to watch it like the next day. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to do it in November, which might as well say that while I'm talking about it. This whole month, we're going to be catching up on, let me go ahead and bring this up. We're going to be catching up on a lot of the big movies that have come out in the last few months in horror. Last week, we had an awesome conversation on When Evil Lurks. Highly recommend that one. Next week, we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving, which is coming out right now. Robbie's at the theater seeing it, and him and I are going to be talking about it tomorrow night, and that'll be coming out sometime in the next few days. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be talking about one of the other biggest movies of the year, horror movies at least, Talk to Me, which I loved. So that'll be the last month. And yes, sir. So where the hell was I when I started that? Oh, anyway, so I wanted to watch again. I was like dying to watch this movie again right away, and I held off. And then I watched it again a couple nights ago, and I was like, I love this movie. This is the type of movie that's going to make me not even want to grade these things at the end, because I think it puts us all in like this critical mind space that it's like, I know that's what we're doing, but I don't want to be there for every movie. It's because it's like, I don't know. No matter what grade I give this, like I fucking love this movie. This is like a super fun movie. It's going to be some kid's favorite slasher movie, first time travel movie, all that stuff.
For sure.
Just to set it up, as you kind of already laid it out for us a little bit, Stu. It's Scream meets Back to the Future. The basic premise is there was. I think I got a picture that can help me kind of explain this. This group of friends here that you see, the four in the background, they were alive in 1987. I think it is 1987. 3 of these women were killed. The one in the middle, the blonde, she survived, and that is her daughter that she's talking to, which she's now going back in time to prevent the this is already getting confusing. The mom now got murdered in the present. So the daughter is going back for some reason to prevent the previous murders that happened to the mom's friends back in the day, thinking that is going to prevent the murders for now. That's the basic premise.
It was like by I guess coincidence, because she was being chased by the killer, and then her friend told her about the time machine. She happened to run across the time machine and was banging. I don't know.
The friend's idea was like I was kind of thinking that I set it to this date so that if you did go back in time, you could prevent your mom's murder. And then we're jumping forward big time. All this chaos goes down in the past, and then she's like, all right, I'm going to send you back, but I'll just send you back earlier that day so that you could prevent your mom's murder. It's like, and this is the type of thing that you're like, this is why I would never gonna judge a time travel movie too harshly on the rules. I don't give a shit. Maybe if it was like a Marvel time travel movie, but one like this that's obviously just for fun. It's not like taking it overly seriously. I'm sure you can poke holes in it, but
you can, and like, yeah, but I completely agree. This movie's a lot better if you kind of put that part on cruise control and just go with the ride. Like,
right.
It's so much more enjoyable that way. Not to be less critical of it, because that's there. That's we're acknowledging that, but at the same time, it's like it's not big enough deal that it affects like your overall enjoyment of the movie,
right?
Or like consumption of the plot line.
Go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I was gonna say I think the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows what it is, so that's why it's that the plot holes don't shine so glaringly. Is
right?
Completely agree. Yeah.
Right. As I have a helicopter flying over my head and all my windows open. I don't know how loud that is.
No, I
live next door to a hospital. Someone's in trouble. But you guys remember in Austin Powers, were they all time travel movies? Yeah, I think they were. When they're like, let's not worry about these things, when they're talking about how all the rules of it works. That's the logic I apply to these types of
sure.
This one sets the tone for that. The fact that they're like referencing other movies, they talk about Endgame, they talk about Back to the Future, they're talking about time streams,
Scream.
and yeah, Scream, exactly.
Yeah, that's her question, like that she keeps asking people when she first gets back in time. Have you seen Back to the Future? Okay, that's what's going on right now.
It's so good. And that's exactly what we would do. It's exactly what you do. But all right, listen. She's like, oh, you do? Oh, listen, I'm pretty much Marty McFly. But all right, so let's just begin there. The way I want to do this, just for people that are watching, it is a murder mystery. So we will be spoiling that later on in the episode, like who the killer is. So we're going to hang on to that. But the way I was telling you guys backstage is it's a comedy, horror, time machine or time travel movie. So let's kind of go through those aspects and see what it did well. But so let's just start there. Link, what did you think of the comedy in this movie? Like, this is, for me, I thought it's like a straight the fuck up, laugh out loud movie through large parts of it. Like, this hits me like exactly where I want to be hitting my funny bone.
Oh yeah, no, I think a comedy, it worked brilliantly, bro. There's a lot. It just on a lot of levels. Like there's a line in the movie where it's towards the end where they go to the cabin and she finds out like their mom invited all the dudes. There's just supposed to be the girls, and she's like, "What, do you just want us to les out?" And she's like, gross. She's like, I mean, not what you just. I mean, what you just said. There was like homophobic undertones. It was just the way she laid it. It was hilarious. There's a lot of that throughout this movie where it's just it's on the, I don't want to say on the nose.
I mean, that'd be fair enough. It's not overly subtle.
Yes. But I think it's brilliant. It follows those tropes that we see in horror movies, but handles them in a very humorous way, and it balances that well. And I do like what you said earlier. I don't want to fast forward too much about the horror aspect. You kind of said thriller it gives me more thriller vibes than horror, but it does fall in the wheelhouse of horror. Like it is, it is. But yeah, I think it handles the comedy brilliantly. I think it's where it kind of shines, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I think would you guys agree? It's funnier than it is scary, and it's a slasher, so it depends on if you get scared of slashers. And it's not a supernatural slasher. It's just it's like Scream. That's the good comparison. And how many people in 2023 find Scream movies scary? They're suspenseful. There's moments.
My bad.
No, you're good.
This movie reminded me of. Have you guys heard of Freaky? It's got like Vince Vaughn in it.
Totally, dude. It's the perfect comparison.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you, Stu? As far as the comedy,
I loved it, man. Yeah, like even like Link was saying, like even so you had like the humor, like them making fun of the 80s and stuff like that, but you also had like the hilariously awkward situation that is the girl going back in time and seeing her parents as high schoolers and like all their glorious awfulness. like, that part was just generally great. I thought the 80s stuff was a little heavy-handed at times, but like
Totally.
even the dumb humor was funny. Like you said, dude, I think you said it perfectly. This one had me laughing every few minutes, and really was like right in my wheelhouse of funny. So I really appreciated the comedy in it. Like I said, some of like my only complaint is like some of the 80s stuff was like, all right, I came up in the 80s. It wasn't
Right. Well, it's like what did I hear recently? A good
the fucking
comparison.
Wild West. I get it. Like some parts of the 80s were the Wild West, but it's like, all right, at the same time.
Are you talking about how just like the social? Because that's one thing that they're doing, and this could have landed flat on its face. This movie could have been super annoying with this modern girl going back to the 80s, and she's kind of calling out all these people on their problematic behaviors. And to me, like her delivery, which she's got a tricky name, Kiernan Shipka, like her delivery, she's the lead character, and she is amazing throughout the whole film. Cute, young, little blonde, but
She
like
is.
her delivery is just fire. And the way that she's critiquing all these people, like it never bothers me. It never comes off as preachy. She is preachy a little bit, but I don't know. There's something about her delivery where it's not
The only
annoying at all.
time it did was like the guidance counselor when she was talking about I'm the new student, like here to join the school or whatever. She's like, all right, fill out these forms, you're good to go. That shit is like, that wouldn't even happen back then. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. But
Remember,
like, that was the one part.
Avoid the
one
knife.
part where it was like,
he's in both timelines, he's the funniest, man. People's like, at one point, like the one girl gets murdered, and then the next day she comes to school, and none of the people that were best friends with the girl that gets murdered are like in touch with their emotions. Are none of you guys in touch with your emotions? And the one guy says, I'm in touch with this emotion. And that's like his go-to catchphrase is to grab his junk and say, I'm in touch with this or whatever. And he's hilarious. He's absolutely
he goes to like give the other person 5, and he's like, it's not my crotch hand or whatever. It's just, like, so stupid.
Hell yeah,
anyway, yeah.
You guys, you know what? Let's do this. This is kind of an impromptu thing because there are a lot of good characters. You guys want to highlight one? You guys got one that you could pull out that kind of stood out to you as your favorite in either timeline?
Man,
I liked her best friend's mom in the past. The younger version of her best friend's mom.
Yeah, totally.
I thought she was a good balance. Like I thought it was cool how she was just, I don't know if they kind of alluded to it, but they made it sound like, her, when you met her best friend in the present, like she was like kind of, just like the old apple, it's like her mom, like very similar. So when I saw her mom in the past, and they were very similar personality, she was, the friend or the girl didn't even have to really say too much to get her to believe her, help her, to get her on her side. She was already with it, like she was like, oh yeah, I'm with it, to time travel, hell yeah. Well, so I thought that was cool because oh my bad.
Well, no, you're good. I was just gonna say, like, that's kind of a good example of the way that the movie, you could say it's cutting corners. It just fast forwards through a lot of the bullshit. A lot of the movies, you would have to like take 5-10 minutes to explain to this character, listen, Back to the Future, which they just blast right through it. And they're like, you're taking this very well. Because I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, she's taking this pretty well. She's not reacting very strongly to this person coming back from the future, but they just acknowledge it. She's like, well, I'm building a time machine. I always thought something like this might happen. And then they just move on. It's like, that's the kind of writing in this movie, which I appreciate. It's like, skip the bullshit.
Yeah. You don't want to over explain things. That's when you start getting lost in the sauce. Sometimes it's just better left at face value. Just what they said is what it is. Don't think too deeply. Don't try to add an elaborate plot. Chill.
Exactly, dude.
But yeah,
I mean, there's a few of maybe one extra element in this movie. There's like the kid with the video games. Like they could have maybe cut him. I don't know how much he added. No one really ever felt like a red herring to me. Did you guys experience that? Like in a Scream movie, or like the last Scream movie, for example, I am like really trying to figure out who the killer are. I'm seeing that they're laying out red herrings. I'm like, no, not that one. Maybe that one. In this movie, like, and I guess we were planning on getting to this later, but fuck it, let's get to it now. As far as like the mystery element, were you guys like caught up in that, or like when later on when it gets revealed, you're like, oh yeah, I wasn't even really thinking too much about who the killer was, or were you following the red herrings?
Well, I felt like at the end they really didn't give you much chance to. I mean, I don't want to like spoil it, but they didn't really give you much chance to like figure that out with the information they gave you. So it kind of got like blindsided with that. But yeah, I think you're right. They weren't really heavy-handed with the red herrings and like alluding to people and this and that. I think you had like maybe a couple things you could discern from a couple people if you really were digging deep and looking for that. But I don't think on the surface, just like on a general watch or your first time through, you're gonna pick up on a whole.
I picked up on more. Oh, I'll just say I was gonna ask you guys, but I'll just say like ask if you agree with me. I think they were kind of hinting towards the dad a lot of the movie, and that was subtle. Like they were questioning him, and there was little things with the dad, and then the other one was the Asian, the one that's the cop in the future. And what's her dad's name in the movie? I know you know his name, Link. What's that dude's name?
I don't know. I know the actor, but he was in
WandaVision.
Yeah,
man.
Randall Park or something.
Yes, he's hilarious. Like I love that guy.
Yeah,
but they're kind of hinting at his daughter, and I don't know. But and then that the video game nerd.
Yeah, like the kid with the weird notebook. But that's just like, I don't know. That's almost just like they're just putting that there just to have like the weirdo kid that they can throw suspicion on. That felt kind of forced. I don't know.
Yeah, that was they could have kind of done without that for sure. But back to the characters. You got one you want to highlight, Stu?
I love the mom. I thought the mom and like in the past was great. And that whole interaction between mom and daughter was hilarious, dude. Yeah, I also love Julie. What's her name? Julie Benson or whatever. Modern Family and all that. But yeah, I thought like I loved some of their interactions and like how she told her to get bit that one time, and just like I like how she got everybody to trust her by saying she's a psychic. Like they just rolled with that. Like they had no problem. Like she's. Like the murders didn't start happening until she showed up, and she says she's a psychic, and they're just going to trust that. So I don't know. I love that. I love that back and forth with. I thought that was well done.
Didn't they kind of act like the people from the 80s were like stupid? They were they were definitely more, and I mean I think this is probably accurate. This is more of a cartoony version of it. But I think people in the 80s were more carefree, and they're more like, what is there to worry about? We're going to be just fine. And it was like, it came off as stupid, but it was a lot of the comedy came from that too.
Yeah.
True.
But Stu, to go back to what you're saying about like, she might be my second favorite character. The main character is my favorite just because the way she carries the
great.
movie.
She did a great job. Yeah, absolutely.
She's so good, but the mom, who is the actress, is Olivia Holt. She's cute as shit.
Yeah,
and she's
been in a bunch of things now. I've seen
her really?
Yeah, I forget what else I've seen her in.
It's just it's a strange dynamic. Like think about like the way that we all like. Well, and we're all parents too, so it's kind of terrifying. It's like eventually our kids are going to grow up and see us more in a truthful way, more in a like real, actual way. Yeah. That's kind of what this is: being able to go back and see what your parents are. You know what I mean? Like we grew up with this idealized version of them, and then we kind of figure it out along the way. But to actually go back and see them, like, would be fucked up. And it's a really interesting look at it.
Yeah, it really is. It's warts and all, and like I don't know. I love the scene when she figures out like her dad is like the dude hopping out of the pool, and like the conversation she has with like her best friend's, I guess, mom, like back then was really great. I also like their relationship, like that she had with her best friend's I guess
mom.
Mom. Yeah. When she was younger, and like her trying to figure things out as well. That was dope.
I wanted to say about the red herrings and the killers real quick. Is that I kind of was lost, to be honest. The first watch, like I wasn't necessarily. I don't think they were leading. They kind of put on, it was the sheriff's daughter, but then you found out that it wasn't. At a certain point, you found out it wasn't her. But it's like I didn't see that one coming when they revealed who it was in the past, and then the final reveal. I also didn't see that coming the first time around. And then on my second watch, I was watching it, like looking for clues, and I guess it's there, but they weren't really
explicit with it.
It's like, because he's the killer at one point. He's talking to the girl shortly after the initial killing happens, and initially I was like, why is he, was he just that deep of a nerd? But it's like he was trying to pin it on somebody else, like steer like lean it more towards the dad, But I still, in this, even with the second watch, I was kind of like, that flew over my head with the first watch. I didn't even see him coming. I was like, oh, it's him, like that guy, like. So I don't know if I don't know if it's a bad thing that the clues weren't there, because I guess I was like, oh shit, when it really happened. But at the same time, I like to, like you said, you like to be led on in a movie like Scream, has you thinking like most of the cast can be the killer at a certain point. So that's always fun, that little mystery. They didn't really have that in this, but it wasn't bad. But they just didn't have that air of mystery.
Right. Well, killer. Let's go ahead and just kind of jump around a little bit. We can come back and revisit some of these other topics. I mean, we're 20 minutes into this thing. I think you guys have got our feel as far as, so let's go ahead and spoil this killer part and kind of get into it. If you haven't checked it out and you really care who the killer is, I would say it doesn't matter that fucking much. It really doesn't. Like really we can spoil it for you.
Yeah, it really doesn't, guys.
It's like a Scream movie, but I think we're kind of illustrating it right here. It is the weakness of the movie, the fact that it doesn't matter that much. So basically, it's just some random guy. Right. It reminds me of, you guys remember Scream 2? Spoiler for Scream 2. Like, what was so great about Scream 1? Spoiler for Scream 1 is that it was Billy and it was fucking Stu, and these were like some of the main characters. These were our main characters' boyfriends and like best friends. We spent a lot of time with them throughout the movie. And then in part 2, it was like, oh, the freaky Tarantino film student and fucking Jackie from Roseanne. It's like, okay, I remember them being in the movie, and I guess it makes sense when you explain it to me, but it was like, who gives a shit when it was them? And I love Scream 2, and it's a solid ending, but you know what I mean? It's like they're not, it wasn't the thing that like, oh my God, I can't believe it was Billy and Stu. Like, I can't think of another movie like this that's really been as good as Scream 1, where it really was that good of an ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With the, it's like with the.
No, go ahead, brother.
Go on, Stu. No, I was just gonna say real quick. It's like they with the connection to the killer going so far back, you would think like the reveal would be some impactful thing, and like you said, it was just kind of some guy who had a small grievance for, and they don't even really spotlight that grievance until the end of the movie. Like that should have been something we saw at like a flashback scene or something that may open up with that scene, like with her name was Fat Trish, and then we just go from the we come back to that later on. You're like, oh, that's the connection. There was none of that, unfortunately.
No, exactly. Right. They gave you like no heads up, no reason to like invest or have any type of like look out for any of that. Like
the only reason to think anything of it was that they said anything about Fat Trish. You know what I mean? They're just kind of throwing little things out there. There's no real reason to highlight her at all. But they did a good job. Like when they mention her, it's funny. So they're distracting you with the jokes that they're throwing around. They're like, the main character's like, who's Fat Trish? And we can't call her that. But who is she? Like, you're right. We can't call her that because she's dead. It's just like, but you're busy laughing at that. You're not thinking about, oh, maybe Fat Trish is connected to the killer.
Yeah, I think I agree with Lynk though. I think like if you just had like the scene of them when they brought her over to the house, got her drunk, and asked her like tried to get her to admit that she had a relationship with the coach or whatever. If that had been like the opening scene of the movie, and then she's like upset, she gets in the car and crashes, and like that's how the movie starts, and like that's the only background they give us. If they had just planted that seed, and then like even that would have worked better than like having, because
just like that's a good idea. Just make some kind of traumatic. Yeah, no, I do. And the movie.
It's like that Miss Voorhees steamroll. Like you don't see it coming at all.
Right, exactly. That's a really great comparison. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, it makes sense when you explain it that way, but it's not some big reveal that's going to be cool. And that is that's the weakness of the film. But it's like, I don't know. It almost sounds like it should be important, but to me, it's just not important. It doesn't take away much from my enjoyment of the film.
Agreed.
But,
no, not at all. Not at all.
We can touch on just a little bit. First of all, I thought this was funny. People saying he looks like Zach Morris. I agree.
Now that they say with the earring definitely. So, like,
what do you guys think of this dude in general? Like, I kind of dig the look. It's like, I don't know if it'll catch on. I don't know if there'll ever be a sequel to this, and I'm not sure. Like, I'm really curious. Like, just the buzz that this movie has got. It seemed like it got a little initial buzz, but I don't think it's gotten too big. But I dig the look, man. What do you think of the mask, Lynk?
I thought it was cool. I feel like it was like a hipster version of Michael Myers in a way, bro. You know, he's got this. Imagine if it's white just with the dark brown hair that Michael Myers has. He just has the little loopy earring.
It's just,
but you know,
blackness.
Yeah, it's very cold looking. I like the whole hood. It's very simple, but it works. It's like anybody could throw that together and become the killer. It's not something elaborate you have to really go get. Like, if they ever do a sequel, like, he could maybe keep like the same hoodie, but his shirts are switching up that he wears for whatever reason. You know, it's like it's just clothes essentially. But I dig that.
Yeah, no, yeah, me too, man. What about you, Stu?
Dude, I loved it. And I thought this guy was an effective killer. Like, the first scene when he took out Mom, that was pretty brutal. I like they had the splash patterns on the wall, like when those kids came in, the trick-or-treaters, and they found her there. Like, I like that he was kind of like an elevated killer in that he had the karate moves. He was no joke when it came with the hands, and
they were like, elevated victims too. Like, they had the
karate dude.
Back, which was
like when they teamed up on him that one time, they were giving him the business. But yeah, like, I like that part. Like, there was like, not a super. I don't want to say superhuman, but like definitely like more than your average Joe.
Right.
When it comes to fighting ability and strength, so that was dope.
It seems to be like the new trend now is to make. We've got all these final girls or whatever. I'll call the main character the final girl, even though she's not. It's just like the term for it, that are like total badasses, like Erin from Ready or Not. She's like Navy SEAL level badass. And then oh wait, no, I'm mixing it up. What's Your Next? Your Next is the one with Erin. And then Ready or Not, she's God, I can't think of anyone's name today. She's super badass, but that's kind of the thing. You've got all these overly capable female characters. And it works. It really works in this movie, with especially the way they tie it together with it all makes sense. The mom, she was attacked when she was a kid, so she brought the daughter up to learn fucking kung fu and shit. And yeah, it's really cool, man.
Yeah.
I just want to chime in on the mom. I like the aspect with the mom and how she's kind of cliche, very controlling and very needy, but it's like, what happened to her in the past? I like that little touch. It's like, of course you would grow up to be that way, bro. Like, she has a bad experience. Like, did she? Okay, so before I say that, did the killer come after her in the original past, or was it just when the daughter went back in time?
I don't think so. That's not the way I read it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but dude, she's a fantastic actress. Like, I love the way that she's like, especially on a second watch through. When the daughter's like, you never talk to Mom or whatever at the beginning of the movie, you find out later that when she was a kid, she was told a bitch to her mom. The little like the look that you see in the mom's face, you read all of that, especially at a second watch through. Like, she does a really good job of looking vulnerable in these really quick burst moments, because she doesn't get much screen time. But you feel like you know that character, and you feel like you can believe that the other actress that plays the young version of her is her. They did a good job with that too.
Gross.
Yeah, I love when Mom comes down the stairs and she's like, "All right, Mom, that's enough. Leave." And like, she's like, "No wonder Grandma never comes to visit her."
Right. That's another one that just says like the tone of the movie, because she just says it out loud where everyone can hear her. And
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to go back to when they first met. You brought it up earlier, Stu. The mom is meeting the daughter. First of all, I love the way that she's like, do you know who Pam Miller is? To some girl, crazy dodgeball shit going around. And she's like, that's her right there. this like killer evil woman. She's like, no, that can't be her. Pam Miller, super nice, cares about people. She's like, what are you smoking crack? She's the Wicked Witch of Vernon. And it's like, it's so good right there. But what was I gonna say? When they meet and the mom is a bitch to the daughter, she doesn't know it's her daughter, and she tells her like to go fuck herself, and the kid goes, Mom, Masita, ay. And let me just say, like, she delivered that line about 1 billion times better than I just delivered that line. It's so.
But they also had dope moments, like when that guy was giving her shit, and she like put his head on the table or whatever, and like her mom saw her, and she's like, "How'd you learn to do that?" or whatever, and she's like, "My mom made me take self-defense classes," and they had that. It was like that weird, like, is she influencing time right now? I don't know. That was like a cool moment, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what made me think. Like, so is maybe we saw because when movies like Looper, Deja Vu, I'm always left wondering what was the original timeline that made this loop start happening. Maybe in this movie, we're seeing the original timeline start this loop. Like the original timeline, the mom never had the killer come after her, but because the daughter goes back, and it's like. The mom went through that experience of the killer coming after her, so of course, but then they changed the timeline again by the end of the movie.
And then the mom gives the daughter that's like magical crystal that the daughter then takes back into the past to convince the mom that she's a psychic.
That was so funny.
Let's not think about this too fucking much. Yeah.
It was a great scene. How like that's how she convinces her she's a psychic. She's like, "Here's my crystal," and she takes it. She's like, "Seems legit."
Yeah,
yeah.
That's how they. It's so good.
It really, really is, man. And the other thing that like you had me thinking, or when you talked about a few of the moments with the mom, is like it's touching. Like there's a few moments in this that kind of hit me in the heartstrings. For as much as the comedy is kind of the main thing, sometimes you realize like, oh yeah, this girl's mom just died. And she's trying to save her mom's life, and she's meeting her mom. You know what I mean? It's like there's some really like touching moments in this.
Absolutely,
that definitely stick out.
Yeah, it's definitely got like a nice little family story tucked inside of it. You know what I mean? It's really well done in that way.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking of there's some cool bits, but it's weird, but it's a funny bit. It's like because when she first sees her dad, she's like, "Whoa, that's my dad!" Like she thinks he's an attractive young man. And she meets her brother at the end. She's like, "Why does this keep happening to me?" There's so many little bits like that sprinkled throughout the movie that pay off, like in terms of just being a bit. But yeah, I dug that.
That is probably my favorite. There's a lot of favorite moments in the movie, but that bit at the end when they're like she's meeting up with her friend from the past, her friend's mom, and she's explaining her stuff and giving her a notebook like, this is what's different in this timeline. And then when she meets her brother, and she's like, by the way, his name is Jamie, which is her name. And she's like, we're both named Jamie? And then her mom comes out. She's like, Colette, will you set the table? The little pause that she takes, she's like, yeah, I'll do. It's like, okay, I'm just going to accept that I'm no longer the firstborn and my name is not Jamie.
Oh yeah, great.
And that I'm not gonna hold you up. That had me because I didn't watch the little I don't know if you guys peeped. I didn't watch it the first time, but the credits after the movie ends kind of tell you what her journal and what the differences in her life are.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I'd like to see that picked up in a sequel, like like those breadcrumbs. We know that the guy's out there at a monastery or he's a monk or some shit like that, but maybe he's got a grievance for his dad being ganked on air. He's like, it's you guys. He finds that there was some time travel shenanigans involved, and essentially, it's we could work our way around it, but they set the piece up to come back and have another movie with that. I think that would be cool.
No, I agree, dude. I'm really curious if they will. Like I said, this is one of those things that I want to know. I want to know the numbers on it. It has good, like user ratings and a Rotten Tomato score, and I've seen a couple reviews on it. But I'm curious. I don't know. I just don't know how this new world works.
I was telling Link this. Like this is like last night. This is a movie I would recommend freely. Like when Evil Lurks. When Evil Lurks is a movie I would hesitate to recommend to everybody. This is. Like I would have no problem like giving this recommendation out to anybody.
That's why
to enjoy it and recommend it to somebody else. Like,
did you notice we've got the little inside baseball here. We've got the PCP Bad Batch chat. And we all throw up our thumbnails and hey, this show tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've ever recommended a movie in that chat and be like, hey, you guys should check this one out. But I knew this is one that like most people would want to check out. Even the people in the group that aren't into horror, check it out. Which do let me ask you this: you watch who all in your family? Give me the age groups of who you watched this with last night and what everyone thought of the film.
Well, don't judge
no judging.
Don't judge my parenting, but yeah, so it was my 11-year-old daughter and me and my wife, who's I'm not gonna give.
No, we don't need her
there. Yeah, who's getting younger every year.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Obviously,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, who's evergreen, who's just evergreen when it comes to her youth and beauty. So, but yeah, like we all enjoyed it. It was a great ride. But Bubs, my daughter has seen like Scream and slasher films like that before, so that little combo like worked for her. She enjoyed it. Yeah. She by the way, Vern, she had a recommendation. She thinks she should do a show on Five Nights at Freddy's. But yeah, I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I was like, she was like, he'll do numbers, and I was like, you're right about that.
He'll do. That's the terminology she used. She said he'll do numbers.
Yeah, or he'll get the views. I think she said she did. She's not that cool, but yeah,
so you'll get the.
Hey,
clicks.
that's a pretty weird.
Yeah.
She's right. Let me just say that she
is
what
right time it is when it comes to that stuff. Yeah.
Like I thought about doing that, and I still consider it. I mean, if anyone wants to do a bonus one, maybe we could throw it in November. It's the one I should be doing, but then I probably wouldn't have been able to do this one. And you tell me, like, what deserves it more, this movie or Five Nights at Freddy's?
That was my argument. I know, like, I just don't. The way I put it to her was, I don't think he's a part of the dedicated fan base like you, and that he could give it the proper treatment that it deserves.
Right.
But he saw it and thought the same thing I did.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it would be an interesting movie to talk about, honestly, because it's not the worst fucking movie in the world, and it is. No. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I'm actually just throw it out there. I'm playing with the idea of doing another show next week on Cobweb. Because that's another big one that came out.
Yeah, with Homelander was in it.
Okay, good shit.
It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch.
Okay.
It's worth checking. Okay. It was different.
They just added it to Hulu or Peacock. What are those two? I think Hulu. So yeah. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it. I've seen like on lists of like, the best movies of 2023. Some people have it. Some people as their favorite movie of 2023. So definitely something worth checking.
Oh, wow.
Out.
I don't think people Talk to Me. If I think Talk to Me was probably my favorite. It's between they're so tonally different between this and Talk to Me. But that's Talk to Me was just so like it was fresh. I don't think those people have seen Talk to Me if they said that was the best horror movie they've seen this year.
Right. No, I feel you, dude. Because right now that's where I'm at. That and When Evil Lurks, to be honest with you. But let's go ahead. Yeah. Let's talk about. We've already touched on a lot of it, but the main thing that I took away from the end of this movie, especially last night when I watched it, we can get into all the shit. We get the reveal of the two different killers. We get the killer in the past. We find out about, and then there's another killer. There's the killer in the future or the present. That he's the dude that. Like we're like 10 minutes into the movie, spoiler, and my wife is like, it's the podcast guy. This fucker's trying to get clicks. He's trying to get numbers. She is, dude. I'm telling you, man, there's something about not being a pothead that like you just figure shit out. And I'm sitting there like, oh, and she's like, it's not that fucking complicated, dude. And I'm like, oh, okay, just don't explain it to me next time.
Keep up here, but come on.
Like I'm not always keeping up. But I'll just, this is what I'm going to say. You said, I'm always like searching for the terminology. Like, what's the fucking right word? Lynk, we watched a movie a while back, and I was talking about, that feeling you get at the end of a Star Wars movie when that fucking music hits at the end, and you're like, yeah, like that feels good. And you're like, the journey. I'm like, yes, that's the fucking word. The journey. At the end of this movie, when they meet back up and she gets back to her house and she's mom, and the mom comes down, the dad comes down, the friend comes down, and the friend's mom comes down. There's a lot of movies that do that scene or something like that. and it doesn't always hit, but I fucking feel that. Like I feel, damn it, I've been through a fucking journey with these people, and we've all changed.
Yes.
We're all a little bit better for the journey we've been on. And like it really, really hits home for me. But what do you guys think of just the end of the movie and just anything that you want to touch on with the reveal of the killers and the finish and all that? Lynk, start with you.
I think this movie, I'm big on the endings. I think this movie stuck its landing. Like, the plot was the journey.
Same thing.
Phable said we gotta talk about that new horror movie, The Marvel. Phable out here trolling tonight.
I didn't even see him say that.
Yeah.
But no, I think, like you said, Verno, it feels earned. Like I'm like when she walks through the door and she sees her mom, and I'm like, fuck yes, like you did it, girl, you did it, like yes. I was rooting for her, like, but yeah, especially in a, this movie could have easily been a failure or a joke, just because it's balanced.
Totally.
Horror comedy not everyone can find that balancing act, and then to have like an emotional, even if it's a slight emotional core throughout the film, and to have the payoff at the end, I respect that, man. I really respect it. And man, the killing thing has me so confused. Like, not really confused, but I'm just so.
Hold on.
How did she go back and influence the first killer to become the killer, and why wasn't it old dude, the original killer? What did she change that altered them?
That's true, because dude was alive in the future, right?
Yeah.
Dude that she killed?
Yeah, the dude the dude who was the new killer in the past was the principal from the future,
Right.
but it's because he got bullied when she went back. But I mean, he was already being bullied. I mean, I can only assume it was that one scene where they punked him at the house party, but they kind of insinuate that he's a nerd and he's always being bullied. So it's like, how did she alter that one moment where he like?
I guess I'm confused because you did cut out for a second there, but are you saying is someone not the same? Hold on, just explain it again for a second because I want to figure it out what you're talking about.
So she went back. Well, like, what's the key scene that made her alter who the killer was?
I think because the original killer is the guy that ends up being the principal, right? The nerd from the old timeline, and then we got the podcast killer from the future, and he just goes back and affects things. But those are the two different. Like the person that kills her mom at the beginning is the podcast guy. It's not the principal, I think.
Yeah.
And then when she goes back, the principal doesn't even exist anymore because they killed him in the past. And now the jock guy, show you my emotions, he's the principal. Avoid the knife.
But wasn't it in the original timeline, avoid the knife, protect your life? But wasn't in the original timeline the podcaster the OG killer? Like he's the one that, or was it always
it was always the principal. Yeah. That's what it is. Because he says at one point, on the giant drop, he's like, and I didn't even know that he was the killer. Thanks for that bit of info. Like he was just going back to continue to fuck shit up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Get them clicks.
Here's my question though. Like, did the mom grow up knowing that she had already met her daughter and was going to, like, her grown daughter? Because like her daughter went back and affected all those things, right? And then pushed her off of the time machine. So did she grow up from that point on in high school, like knowing that she had already met her daughter? And
that's a good point. They definitely don't imply that, but yes, she would have to,
right?
She would have. It would be one of those that you see in movies, like, oh, I met this person back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I mean, she definitely had to have met her, whether she realized it was her or not. Is the question. I did want to mention that while I'm thinking of it. This is just something like me and my wife afterwards. I was like, why? At the end of the movie, her parents, she's like, oh, are you dressed up as Molly Ringwald? Because at the beginning of the movie, her parents are dressed up as Molly Ringwald, and the dad is dressed up with this like shirt that makes him look like he's got a rockin' bod. He's like, dude, I used to be sexy when I was a kid. And then now in the future or in current timeline, they're like, we're Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I'm sitting there thinking about like, why Mr. and Mrs. Smith? And then I'm like, I at least get the part that like, okay, at the beginning of the movie, they were stuck in their past. The mom was still doing the Molly Ringwald thing. The dad was still thinking about his days when he had that Zac Efron body. So, like, I get that they've like grown up out of the past, but do you guys get any significance about Mr. and Mrs. Smith? I've never seen the movie. I'll throw that out there. I know who it is.
Oh,
I don't think I've seen it. But is there any significance that you guys can think of? Just that it's more modern is the only thing I can take from it.
Well, maybe because, you know, given in the OG timeline, her parents didn't go through that whole ordeal with meeting the killer. The mom just got a note, I guess. Maybe that didn't even happen. But in the new timeline, her parents got together 4 years earlier, and they also had that experience they went through with it. They did experience the whole killer. Like, even that's what gets me weird. It's like our main character's best friend's mom remembers her in the new timeline, but her parents don't remember.
Right. That is weird. It's they never tell her who she is and all that, but yes.
Yeah.
You'd think at one point you will be like, wait a minute, you're starting to look like that chick that played a very significant role in our life. And you know what? This jacket I have looks exactly like the jacket you were wearing for 3 days back in 1987. Because you realize she's wearing that jacket at the end of the movie. The mom is wearing the daughter's jacket.
Yeah. I don't know if it's very significant. I don't know. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, to me, that movie's about a couple kind of like finally being honest with each other. And you know what I mean? Because that's what that.
But you know, they had to go through that whole.
But then again, like when you saw the future mom and dad, they seemed a lot more comfortable together.
Yes.
Like and stronger as a couple, like than the earlier iteration of them.
Right.
And that was like one of the themes of Mr. Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna say that was one of the themes of Mr. and Mrs. Smith was, you know, they were a couple who were keeping these stuff from each other, and they had to, the lies came out.
Yeah, there we go. So I think we did maybe find the meeting. Yeah, maybe that.
But it's loose. It's a loose connection.
It is loose.
I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah,
it's not playing like a major element in the movie, so I'm really glad that you guys had an answer for that because I knew there was something. They clearly. I knew I was onto something with the fact that they had grown up and gotten away from their past, but you guys kind of tied it all together.
For sure.
Perfect, man. All right. Well, I think we're there, man. I think you guys have any final thoughts, anything else you want to throw in, any bits you want to talk about? If you just want to grab your nuts one more time and talk about your emotions, anything you want to do, and then give me your score out of 10. Stu, by the way, I can tell you're grabbing your nuts below the camera. You don't gotta. You're not. I know you are, bro.
Before I give my score, I will just once again. I think it's a key. It's a key element in life. I think it was something relevant in this film was avoid the knife, keep your life.
Oh, yeah.
But
his movement, like, how much was that choreographed? Like, the way he does it too is so good.
It was like an NSYNC dance move, bro. But are we doing out of 10?
Yeah, let's do out of 10. Let's keep with that shtick for a bit. CGC. If you want to do very fine, go ahead.
Okay. I'll give. You know what? I think realistically, it's like a 7.5, 7.5. But I'm gonna give this one a solid 8, just because of the balancing act that it nailed everything it tried to do. Like it had some emotional moments, and that's hard to pull off, and especially in horror films. It had a great comedy, and then even the horror wasn't too hardcore, but it was done very well. Like if you enjoy slashers, you're gonna get that slasher vibe with this one. Right. It's just got Back to the Future element to it. So I think, with that being said, I've never heard of the director. It could be like their first project, and if it's
the first genre thing she's ever had set or done. I meant to say her name at the beginning. It's a tricky name. I'm gonna attempt it right now.
Yeah.
Nahnatchka Khan. I don't feel 100% comfortable in that pronunciation, but I will just say she's like this 50-year-old woman that's worked in TV for most of her life, and this is an Amazon television production. It's a Blumhouse production. Right. Blumhouse hooked up with Amazon's television department and made this movie. And there's a weird, I can oddly feel the TV-ness of this. And I don't want to say that in a bad way at all, but do you guys get what I'm saying? I don't even know what I mean, but it feels like a TV show.
I could
Yeah.
definitely see it. Yeah, I could definitely
Yeah.
see it like on going that route. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it was almost not the style of comedy, or maybe the way they handled characters.
Editing was part of it too.
I
Editing, and there's
I
like
can't
weird
really
like
put my finger.
sound effects for the
Yes.
editing. The editing was great, by the way. Just like that's a big like
Yeah.
selling point of the movie was the editing.
Real quick, my favorite scene, and it's just so small, was when she sees her dad. I brought it up earlier, but when she sees her dad for the first time, and it morphs into the future version of him.
Mhm.
But it's just like the whole song they were playing during that vibe. I don't know. They're just really
Yeah.
And the song in the background, he's like,
Yeah.
that was really what.
They nailed it, dude. Every time that they edited, when they showed, which is just a good way to like make it not confusing too. When they showed the old versions with the kid versions, it was just I think that right there, there's something about the editing that was TV-ish to me, and the sound effect. They were like little sound effects for there. You see that in movies, but I don't know. There's something that I had a feeling it felt TV-ish to me in the way that like Fear Street did, the Netflix series. But like, and then I saw like, oh, it was part of the TV department. I can't put my finger on what the hell I noticed about that, but it was there.
No, yeah, no, I definitely well done for a TV film, but I definitely can see that.
Right. All right. Where were we at? Did I cut you off before you got to your grade? You gave it an 8?
Yes.
A solid 8. I love it, man. I love it. Stu, my brother, what about you, man? Final thoughts and your grade.
Vern,
anybody down in the chat, also sorry to cut you off. I forget about it. If anyone has seen it, which I hope you guys, I hope some of you have seen this flick, and if not, go check it out. But if you have, put your grade down below.
Yes.
Seriously, it's worth it, guys. Good fun film. Vern, I'm gonna cut my cojones and give this one an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed this one a lot. A fun ride. Had all the elements there, comedy. A good little slasher when it needed to be. They could have done better on the mystery and the twists, but at the same time, not like we talked about at the beginning, not a film that you really feel comfortable with, like poking a bunch of holes in and being overly critical of, because they do deliver a fun, entertaining ride, and I don't think it tries to be anything more than what it is. And it, it's I wouldn't say it's like super. It's like completely innovative as far as like genre, but the way it does kind of mash up to brands / genres is done in an interesting way, and I definitely think they could get more mileage out of the concept and these characters. But like you said, absolutely. I think like Vern, I think it had a great strong lead. All the back in time characters were solid. It was really well done. Just a solid movie that you want to recommend to a friend. Solid movie you want to watch on like a Friday night with a bunch of people.
Right.
Just a movie you can put on and enjoy. Got a lot of rewatchability, I think.
Exactly, dude. That's what I was thinking. It's got like I hope I didn't ruin this movie for me, because I did end up watching. I watched it once a month ago and twice this week, and it's like all right, stay away from it for a few years. But as far as my score, dude, it's like I love this movie. Like this is a new movie, but I love it. I love it like it's a movie that I grew up with, if that makes sense. Like the nostalgia, even though it's like when we just talked about Rob Zombie, his Halloween, and we're like, I didn't even notice this was in the 70s. It's like, oh, it's like this. It was this grounded, realistic 70s. This is not. This is just bitch smacking you across the face with the 80ness the whole time. But it's a stylistic decision. It's like, they're consistent with that bitch smack at least. So, and I dig it. It's like the look, how 80s this movie is, it fits the tone of the movie in the same way that Rob Zombie's fits his tone. So I don't know. There's just something like super like this is. I feel like this is like just one of my favorite movies. I don't know. It's so weird to say. So Chill Out Man said it too. He said one of his top 10 movies of all time. He thinks that was right. That was Chill. That's what he fucking said. He said one of his top 10 movies of all time. He just loved the shit out of it. I kind of get that. It is this to me. I can see this for a lot of people. This is just going to be like a feel good movie that they're just going to love and just kind of throw on when they've got the flu kind of thing. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I totally agree with you, Steph. It's like a 7.5. You could poke holes everywhere, but it's hard to like put a grade on comedy. And like, you know, how often I have a hard time. Phable says, say it, say 10, Verno, say 10. He says, yeah. And Chilla says, yeah, in my top 10. Dude, it's a really, really
awesome,
just fun movie. Just a random moment that I wanted to point out before we get out of here. There's the moment that the daughter, they're going off to this cabin, and now she's hooked up with her mom's friends, and she's dealing with these girls from 1987, and she's riding in the car, and she's like, all right, I just want to take a nap. They're on their way to the cabin. She wants to get some sleep. And these girls, these teenage girls from 87 are like, she wants some sleep. Is it nap time? And they turn the music up. And there's just something about me that's like, yep, that's what it's like. That's what being oh, you're the first to fall asleep at the party? Guess who's getting a dick on their forehead tonight? Like, that's how fucking kids are, especially back in the 80s, dude.
Yeah, I love how they troll her too. They're like playing drinking games like murder cabin, murder
yeah.
trolling the shit out of her. It's so great.
It's funny, but it was just a good way to highlight, like, it was different. Fucking shit was different, and not always in a bad way. Not always in a bad way, because I liked that those kids in the 80s seem happier than kids do now. Like just look at the main character and how like serious she is, how worldly she is. I feel bad for her. I'm glad I wasn't that worldly and that serious when I was her age, in a way. But you know, I mean, there's a give and take, because it's helped in some ways, but we've lost something. Where's the sound machine? It's plugged in back here, Anna. By here. She's trying to put the baby to sleep. It's plugged in the kitchen to the right of the oven, Anna. That's my wife. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of here. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate you guys. Anna, appreciate you for stopping in. Chill Out Man's got one of his favorite movies. Phable stopped in. A bunch of the homies.
Cheers,
a bunch of the homies. Joram, Nick, Comic Culture up in here earlier. Appreciate you, Nick. This would be a good one for Nick, by the way. Stopping in here. Appreciate you.
Good one. And next time y'all have like a movie night or a rainy day movie you want to watch, just throw this one on.
Totally killer. Tie it all together there. And and Stu is here, man. Always appreciate when Stu is in here. So as I said, I am going tomorrow. I'm waking up like noon, and I'm going to see Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. I'm talking with Robbie about that. I'm talking about it sometime tomorrow night. I should just fucking do it live. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I will. Keep an eye out for that episode in the next couple days. And who knows? I might slap something together as a bonus episode in the next week. But definitely after that is going to be Talk to Me at the end of the month. And then we got a whole bunch of fun stuff coming up. You know what? I'm just going to ask you guys that right now, since I think you already know. For the people that are here that might care, I'm giving all the homies a pick. I don't want to do a bunch of Christmas movies for December. So in the spirit of giving, I'm giving the homies a pick. So Lynk, yours is actually going to be in January, because I'm going to turn it into a whole fucking month. But what is your pick? This is any movie in the world that you want us to review on Blood Splatter Chatter. What is your pick, homeboy?
Ooh, any movie in the world, huh? Damn it.
Hold on, I thought it had to be horror, because I'm gonna have to.
Any fucking horror movie in the world.
Okay,
you know what
okay.
I mean? You know what
I'm about to say. Well, I was gonna have to go back to the drawing board right now.
And don't go switching it on me, Link, because I already got a whole fucking month planned around your movie.
No. We're sticking with that one for sure. I look forward to that.
What is
one.
it?
What is it?
Tell it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, unveil it, man.
28 days.
28 days, baby. So I had a strong feeling you were gonna do this. I was like, okay, I'm either gonna put them all together back to back to back, but I was afraid it was gonna be like The Shining, Poltergeist, like all the biggest movies in a row. It's like, oh, fucking not many people watching horror in December. Let's not do that. But you wanted 28 days. I had a strong feeling you would. So I want to do the whole month of January is going to be zombie month here on Blood Splatter Chatter. I'm picking out the lineup. There are going to be a bunch of really influential and important zombie movies that hopefully all take a really different approach at it. So it should be 4 awesome zombie movies in the month of December. And then Phable, are you here, brother? If you are here, Phable can throw his up in the chat. If not, I'll just tell you what it is. But Stu, we're doing yours in December What is your pick, my friend?
We're going with one of the first movies I fell in love with in terms of horror or scary movies. Movie I remember vividly watching with my brothers the first time. The classic Maximum Overdrive.
I'm
So excited.
so stoked, dude. I'm so stoked because that's my thing. Is like I love and appreciate you guys for helping me out, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I don't want them to pick like The Shining or like one of the biggest movies ever. And then you're like Maximum Overdrive. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's so perfect, dude. If you're happy, I'm happy because that's awesome.
And
that's
did still slot open for December?
Yeah, we got a couple shows open for December because I don't know if Fable's in here, but or maybe he is. Maybe he is.
It was between that. It was a bit between that and Silence of the Lambs, but I know Silence of the Lambs is such an epic movie. I feel like you need to take your time and do that one really right. So
yeah when you said that, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that one for a horror fest. That's the thing. I mean, for you guys,
that one deserves like the proper.
If you guys are curious, this is what I'm doing. I'm like setting up this year, and I want like a movie that's like Silence of the Lambs level every month. But it's like I want to spread them bitches out. Then I want to just be able to like fucking horror fest, just like you know what I mean when that comes around. But so that's perfect. Maximum Overdrive. I think the only movie that Stephen King has ever directed. Many people say one of the schlockiest and shittiest horror movies of all time. I haven't seen this movie in 20-some years, Stu. But
oh my god,
I'm excited for it.
One of the most egregious uses of the Green Goblin license. I can't believe Marvel didn't get it. Didn't get a check for that one. Yeah, dude, I can't wait to get into that one, dude. It's great.
I'm very excited. So, and then I know Fable's pick is going to be Poltergeist. Fable's been wanting to cover this forever. Even when I was doing shorts, I'm doing fun facts for Poltergeist. Fable's like, "What the fuck, bro? He's like, you're talking about Poltergeist without me?" So I'm excited to do that. I think we're going to do it the second week in December. And then I think if you're available the following week, we'll be doing Maximum Overdrive that week. So we're gonna have a bunch of bangers through December. Then January is Zombie Month here on Blood Splatter Chatter, which I'm really looking forward to. Because when I originally like thought of up this show, the way I think I want to do it is have like at least every other month be a themed month like that, where we can really look into a subgenre and kind of like learn about it a lot. You know what I mean? Like learn about zombies, learn about the tropes, learn about like, oh, this is a cool way to like avoid that trope or do something different, do something unique. So zombies, and then, you know, just a bunch of different themed things like that coming up, which by the way, I have like 1 or 2 undecided zombie movies. So anybody that's watching on the rewind or in the chat right now, if you have suggestions for zombie movies, suggestions for just any random movies, like hit me up in the comments below and we'll figure it out. But hell yeah. That's my man.
Hell yeah.
So Toby Hooper, Steven Spielberg, baby. I agree. Hell yeah. That's Poltergeist. So perfect, man. Again, everybody in the chat, thank you very, very much. Come back and hang out with us. Sub up to Blood Splatter Chatter. Hit the notification bell so you can find out when the fuck I put Thanksgiving episode up, because I don't know exactly when that's happening. And we'll see you next time. Thank you guys. See ya.
Peace.